Well, Kyle?
Yes, Garrett.
I did a video without you a little while ago.
It was good.
You were being a dad over the holidays, so you had 2 weeks off. And I made a little video called So Embarrassing. My greatest raid fail, in which I talked about the now infamous oh moment.
And I'm the stream view, so every moment of mine is an embarrassing moment.
Wait, but yeah, so I didn't know how to play Dancer. It was very obvious that I didn't know how to play Dancer. We all had a good laugh. And something happened. I said, share your embarrassing raid stories. And you all actually listened to me. People don't usually listen to me, Kyle. People usually ignore me.
All right, let's see these.
We got a lot of comments on raid fails, game fails. Some of you, I feel like we're not in spirit of the question, and instead of outing yourselves, outed your friends and your raid mates, which again, I feel like that's cheating a bit, but I captured them anyway. So I figure let's go through it and, come with us on a journey. Come with us on a journey of raiding confessional. First up, Kyle. I've once playing. We're off to a great start.
Excellent.
I once played with my friend. At that time, he was practicing Black Mage. Then he asked why he can't cast Fire 4. We then told him to do the job quest after that.
Oh, classic.
Oh, that is classic.
Classic no job quest.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose track of.
It is.
Because you get behind on one and you do one and nothing happens and you get nothing. So you go, well, I'm just going to stockpile of these. So you end up doing dungeon after dungeon after dungeon. And before you know it, and you completely forgot that you were supposed to talk to old Furious George at the waterfall again.
Sure. Sir, that is just Tola's sister by the waterfall. And how do you know about that?
Different waterfall.
She's for summoners.
Yeah, different waterfall.
Oh, there's another waterfall?
There is actually a Furious George, yeah.
You're not just making up names.
It's a marauder thing.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what he's called.
Furious George?
I assume it's a Curious George reference.
Well, yes.
Seems, a little odd.
Oh, my, why would you? Oh, my God. That seems
adults.
like a stretch, Kyle.
I know. Weird, right?
Get a load of this guy. What are you doing?
Judging the comments.
Oh, okay. This one. Similar experience when I first played Dancer. I didn't know you had to spam standard step on cooldown. I would just use it when the buff was about to fall off, and someone told me in raid, and I was just like, oh, I'm still learning it. In fact, I was like, what? I like the Wes Galber guides, but he doesn't have a new Dancer guide yet for Dawn Trail, so it only goes up to level 90. But I was like, I don't think changes too much, and I think he said that you should use some of your procs before you go back into your your dance BS. But I don't know if I interpreted that correctly.
Seems like so if you have a buff, it kind of feels natural to not cast it until you need it.
Well, that's how you handle most dots, like damage over time spells.
Yeah, you'd want them to be like 3 seconds.
You tend to wait for the last few seconds before you reapply.
Yeah.
Why bother otherwise?
But if you believe that on Samurai, you would just do nothing. Huh.
Yeah. The difference is with Dancer at the end of either steps, like the normal one or the 2-minute cooldown one, there's a huge burst of damage that you do. So if you're not doing it pretty much as often as you possibly can, you're missing out on your hardest hitting single attacks of your entire kit. So it doesn't work like a dot, which is my understanding as someone who has spent at least 20 minutes reading about Dancer, that's how it works.
An ass out of you and me.
Yes.
Assumption.
It was on my bar, by the way. I didn't explain that in my video. It was on my bar the whole time. I just didn't remember what I was doing. I have a confession to make. This reads, I have played this game since 1.0. My Dancer was 90. I do not have technical step even unlocked. I forgot to do the quest because I turned off the UI thingy and forgot the summoning quest gives an ability.
Abilities on quests are super cool. They're super thematic. It was really cool back in the old MMO days where you had to gather up materials and do a whole rather serious unlock. The most thematic ones I think of are World of Warcraft Druid. Those were so thematic. You had to go swim to some island to get your swimming form. You had to go talk to the bears to get your bear form.
Oh yeah, I remember going on quests with Katie in vanilla to do all of her druid stuff, and I was just like, why are we going into the Timbermaw cave that I'm hated in because I corpse ran it and murdered tons of them just putting myself into the red.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, in 14, I think the mileage varies based on how much you like the story of your job.
And the characters,
You probably are having a good time unless you leveled Paladin.
I'd say most of them have at least an endearing character somewhere.
Yes. Including Paladin, which I am currently leveling. But I will say, there's a reason I don't stream them. I skip a lot of that dialogue.
It's only natural.
Only Yoshi P can judge me. Next! As a dancer main, I will laugh at this, but I will also tell you that to this day, I still forget to put dance partner on someone on occasion. Back when the Arcadian Savage first dropped, we hit Enrage on M2S, and then I got a message, quote, "So, you gonna dance partner anyone or not?"
Ooh. Yeah. I mean,
It's basically what happened with me and Silky. It wasn't dance partner, but we saw Enrage a couple times, and then Shen was like, "Hey, do you have technical step on your bar?"
I mean,
The answer was technically yes.
dance partner, tank stance.
Tank stance, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
When it's not
because
on.
it immediately
Yeah.
has an effect
Yeah.
on everybody.
Even if there's another tank, so like say you're doing Savages and there's two tanks, like usually something bad's going to happen to second and aggro, which is not going to be you, the tank, unless your DPS really suck.
You know, I commend this person for not passing it off on the UI. They owned it.
Well, that was the purpose of the question, was to own it. You need to own your mistake. And so far, we haven't hit any excuses, and for that, we thank you. Next! Don't worry, my friend wasn't using standard until she was progging M4S. See? It was fine. Wait, standard is the normal one. Technical...
M4?
Isn't... I'm Googling. Yeah, standard step unlocked at 15. That's the 1 minute cooldown. Or no, sorry, 30 second. That's the 30 second cooldown. I don't even know my own cooldown.
Did it just get lost, Like just...
Technical step. I would be very surprised if they weren't standard stepping. They should be doing that since basically the beginning of unlocking their job.
How many steps do you have though? Like
A 2.
Is there? Oh,
But they're they're those things that where you end up playing DDR.
right.
So standard step,
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Well, shit.
you learned something today. You learned something today. I really like Dancer. I just haven't really spent any time properly learning it. And I thought, with like Joe and Shen, I thought we'd just get carried, and I was preparing for Christmas. I was extremely distracted that week. Plus all the technical things that go with running a charity.
Like stepping.
No,
The technical step. He said technical.
I'm going to kill you with this.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Next. A personal favorite is in heavy quotations as it was still absurdly embarrassing, was me not totally getting how the tethers worked on Dawn Meg's second boss when I was in Shadowbringers. In a party of randoms who thought I was trolling, but it legitimately wasn't clicking with me, and I really couldn't communicate my issue because I play on console, and I didn't have a wireless keyboard at the time. The fact that I was healer didn't help. Bawling crying emoji. Needless to say, it lives rent-free in my brain constantly, even though it's been years. Lamau. Are you looking for the tether mechanic because you don't remember what it is?
I don't remember what that is.
I don't either.
I'm pretty sure.
Don makes second boss.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's Frogman. No, he's the final boss. Who's second boss? Oh, he's the 4/4 trample Magic the Gathering guy. I think that's excusable.
Yeah, I don't rank that too high.
No.
I don't judge you harshly for that.
We're not tier
and
listing
it was
here.
during Shadowbringers, so it was a new dungeon at the time. I think you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. We give you a pass.
You maybe should plug a keyboard into your USBs and on the console be able to talk. I think that's a pretty normal thing to do.
I mean, if I'm going to judge you, I think it's just generally irresponsible to play on console.
Or you could get one of those like really big ones. You know what I'm talking about? That have a keyboard in the center. Those things are dope. You could even Wasada if you really want, occasionally.
I marvel at the way your brain works.
You could pull it off.
The man completely ignored the fact that I said it's a liability to even play on console in the first place.
I'm just trying to make it work.
Just steamrolled over it. Next! To be fair, this game does not do a good job of indicating actions which have yet to be mapped to your bars. They replaced the Dragoon's Leap with a kind of charge which does minimal damage recently, and I didn't notice that was missing for a good while because I hadn't thought to check patch notes for it. Yeah. I have no way to make a joke of this. I just don't know which I prefer. the overly in your face detailed explanation, like God forbid when I log into Hearthstone once a year and I have to tab through 42 fucking messages explaining a bunch of shit happening that I don't care
I'm so
about
with you.
because I'm only there to play Battlegrounds.
Yep.
Or Final Fantasy 14 where you just log in and the game's just like, we had a giant game-changing patch, but we're going to keep it a little secret.
You figure it out. I think it's also a little demeaning when the World of Warcraft does the ability on your like
Why is that demeaning?
17th character.
I don't think that's demeaning.
But it does make you aware that ability dropped off. I think
14 makes you go do an entire quest, pay attention to lore you may not care about, and then watch the same animation that you've seen for 50 levels before it as you go, swing.
Yeah.
You unlocked. Who gives a shit?
You know what? You got a point. Yeah. So, you know what? That's a unique situation then, because after a patch, there was no in-game patch.
I think I prefer going about it through third-party information when I feel like going through it.
That's probably the best way. Yeah.
Because when I'm, it's the same. Cause I don't learn well from streaming because I'm thinking about streaming and playing. I already have enough things happening in my head that when chat's like backseating and I haven't specifically asked for it, I'm just not ready to receive it. And the same is true about pop-up messages that I'm only going to see once when I log into a game and a change has been made. 9 times out of 10, I'm not in the headspace to learn right then and there. And I'd rather like choose when that information is given to me. And so for that reason, I think I prefer going to a content creator. Or for this game specifically, I am a content creator and I'll probably do a stream where I go over the patch notes.
Icy veins, the balance. Yeah. Yeah. Reading stuff is good.
I like reading
Yeah.
stuff.
I can see. I
like
get
reading
this
stuff. I'm with you,
This is
Crit.
excusable.
I'm with you.
Absolved of sins.
You want to yell next?
Next.
When Endwalker dropped, I didn't pay attention and just removed all my gray buttons, one of which was my Dragon Sight macro, which I had replaced the actual Dragon Sight button with during raiding. It was around the second trial fight that I realized, wait, I know that effect another Dragoon is causing. Why don't I have that?
Well, at least you found out in a very innocent way with the help of a fellow Dragoon.
It's fantastic. What is that? Is that like a dot or something? I actually don't know. I haven't gotten too far down. That is Dragon Sight. Googling. Oh, it increases damage up by 10%. Also grants target party member left eye increasing damage up by 5%. That seems extremely important.
Yeah, that's probably pretty important.
Yeah, that seems that's a bit of a Dragoon sin.
Yeah.
Still not as bad as mine, but you know.
The original sin was using macros in the first place.
I have never met a single person that gives a shit.
Not
You
really.
always talk about macros like it's some kind of taboo.
It delays your stacking is the issue.
Stacking?
Yeah. When you have, when you're weaving, if you're trying to weave in a macro, it'll just straight up not go off.
Oh yeah, I know. I have to spam the shit out of my shirk macro.
Yeah.
But you just know that going in, and so you just spam it.
Yeah.
That's usually what I don't know if that's correct. Not that I would have any tool to measure my uptime.
He's got amazing uptime.
How would we know?
Stellar uptime.
How would we know? I go outside, I find a log, then I carve my math into that log. Then that way logs help me track my uptime.
Next.
Absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. I remember back in the Realm Reborn days, I refused to put blood for blood on my hotbar because I found myself dying whenever I popped it. Turns out, number one, I was a Dragoon, so taking unnecessary damage is my birthright. Clearly you know how to play your job, so I'm not going to question you. And two, blood for blood was actually OP and was essentially the only reason people talked to me.
Oh.
Listen, I respect your confidence. I respect that you respect your freedom to die.
Oh, it used to be oh wow, this is a deep rabbit hole.
Next! Yeah, 6-4 was my first Savage tier, and I'm pretty sure I cleared P9S without having Stardiver on my hotbar for Dragoon. Also, had a moment when I was streaming myself playing Sage on Discord where my FC mates pointed out like 4 buttons I was missing.
Well, that can happen.
If it's not your main job, I don't think you should get too much shit about it, and that's only 62% biased because of my dancer experience.
Also, those ability names are ass, and they're all made up. You got like Lacrusia, Dyslexia,
I don't think...
Eurasia,
Pangea.
Pangea. Yeah, a great ability, massive shields. Huge mitts on Pangea.
don't think that's an excuse. So many jobs have complete nonsense names for their abilities.
No.
Have you looked at Samurai? Have you looked at Ninja?
Yeah, but they're all kind of like purpley sparkly. So I think you can be excused a little
I don't
bit.
even know half the names of my Dark Knight abilities, and they actually kind of make sense.
Usually dark things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't learn the name of abilities anymore. I just learn what I need to do and how they interact with each other. Next! I only leveled Dark Knight for the role quests. It took me far too long to realize I had a second AoE button. It happens.
Roll quest strike again.
I think I went about 10 levels without knowing I had picked up a AoE combo on Dark Knight when I first was learning my way around tanking.
It seems obvious once you know it because it's what you do. Everyone has it who does the melee thing.
Yeah, no meme. I actually think this is really easy to fall into because, especially on a tank job, and if it's your first tank job and you're not even looking for that kind of a thing. Now I look for it because I understand there's some homogenization from job to job. But like, if it's your first tank job, you're probably learning to tank by running dungeons. And this game loves to give you like level 16 dungeons back to back to back to back. And you know what you're not learning how to use in level 16 dungeons? Anything, because you have no abilities. So even if you had it, you probably can't use it. And if you're like me and you learn by doing, you're not doing anything because the game's giving you dumbass dungeons like Copperbell Mines. Next, Garrett. Let me tell you about how long it took me to put Blackest Night on my bar as a baby Dark Knight.
His favorite ability.
Straight to hell. This is a cardinal sin of Dark Knightage. Next, absolutely consider it a win if you get Shenpai squeaking. I forgot that some of these have direct reactions to the video and then the story. Slightly less of an embarrassment, but going through a not insignificant portion of the game, not knowing how to focus target, and playing as a healer. Ooh, that's a relevant detail. We have recently found out you knew very little about most targeting in this game.
Well, to an extent.
I'm not sure you're the judge of this particular sin.
It's a long story. But I do believe focused targeting is way oversold as important. However, it is extremely useful. And I'll leave it at that. Because it's kind of how you want to use it.
Pick a lane. I don't think you're allowed to say both of those things. When I heal, I focus specifically a dungeon, because it's only one option. I always focus target the tank. Always.
Why?
It just makes me feel better.
Oh.
Because if they're alive, even if something bad happens, it's not going to turn into complete chaos.
But their health bar's right there.
Yeah, but I focus more on my target bar so that I actually remember to target the boss and do some damage when I'm healing.
Oh, I think I know what's going on. I think I know why I have a dissenting opinion. Because I'm Astrologian, I'm visiting you like every 30 seconds anyway. Because I'm passing out cards.
Okay.
And so I'm constantly switching over to you with F keys.
I would imagine in raids, especially pickup groups, I would probably put it on the person I think is the worst player so I could just rescue them.
Oh, well, the tip I got that was really cool is you focus target your partner and it puts a little arrow over them at all times. So should you have to meet up with them,
yes,
you always know where they are.
That's really helpful for raid as well.
And that's a good one.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
So yeah, valuable tool.
Yeah.
Unspecific use listed, but I think shift, by the way, it's a shift F.
I think I've unbound that because of my tiered Garrett's patented DEFCON fucks.
Oh.
You know, F is an emergency ability. Shift F, which I consider super fuck.
Yeah.
And then Control Shift F, which I call Control Super Fuck, is, at least on all my tanks, my invuln.
Probably look up if you ruined your keybind for it.
I did.
Yeah.
I definitely did.
Next.
There was once during Mount Farm when I didn't have food on and partner on for 5 pulls in a row that we wiped on. I let out a very similar, oh, when I realized it happens. Yours just happened to be on stream. For the children! If there's one thing I've learned already from reading these comments is that if your story is I forgot to put on dance partner, you're in good company. Also, I'm starting to notice a trend between dancers. I think we're all rather forgetful individuals.
And food is easy to forget, and just like you just gotta accept it. Leave your ego at the door, man. We all mess up. We all forget to eat, but no matter what you say, it's pure health. It's vitality. You will survive something. You got it. Like, just eat.
Just eat.
Just eat.
Just eat. Next! I'm not a savage raider, But one of my more embarrassing moments in Final Fantasy was queuing for trial roulette, getting to level 83 trial, and realizing all of my gear was broken. So I had like 6k health. Let those among us who have never entered instance content with broken gear cast the first downvote.
I mean, at least it was a roulette, so you'll never see him again.
If you've done this, it simply means that you've played a game with durability. If you haven't done this, it means you're lying to yourself and everyone around you.
Next.
I feel your pain, Garrett. Sorry, there's an exclamation point. I feel your pain, Garrett! Final Fantasy XIV was my first MMO with a standard party makeup, and I picked up Gladiator without even knowing what a tank was. I just wanted to be a cool knight. I did not learn how to properly use any of my mitigation until Dusk Vigil, when an FC member kindly volunteered to do a one-on-one tutoring session. Needless to say, I learned a lot that day, but the charity stream was great, and I hope you get to do a lot of collabs with both of these awesome streamers in the future. I hope they delude themselves into thinking they'll be fine to play with me again.
Dusk Vigil isn't too bad. Cool on your FC, mate, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like this is really early into your MMO career, and I did the exact same thing with my first MMO, which was Guild Wars. Well, sort of the same thing. Because of their dual class thing, I just thought it'd be cool to be like a sword and shield guy that could cast spells. But I wanted a sick looking robe as opposed to the derpy brown shit they made warriors wear. So I chose Elementalist as my main class and Warrior as my secondary class. And I remember at the time, I have no idea if this ended up staying true over the life of Guild Wars, but at the time, Elementalist Warrior was, I believe, the absolute ass-fucked worst combo you could do in the game.
But the reverse.
The inverse was one of the best.
biggest meta, yeah.
that you could do.
That's true.
And I never finished Guild Wars. I also really struggled while playing it.
They might also come from World of Warcraft, where mitigation is a half-hour cooldown, and you think, "Whew, can't be using Rampart. I might need that someday."
That's not really how it works anymore over in WoW.
Back in the vanilla
B and the
BC,
D.
I'm in the BC days.
B and the D.
And using on trash would ruin the boss pool, and
Just look at us going down
happened.
memory
Oh,
lane.
back in my day.
Back in my day.
Damn me. Next.
That's okay, Garrett. It took me 3 weeks into Gunbreaker to use Heart of Corundum.
Corundum?
Wait, it's not Heart of Conundrum? Why are you coring all the dumbs? Oh, it's one of these, like, it reads like a obnoxious magic card.
But reduces damage taken by a party member or self
by 15%, 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Additional effect when targeting a party member while under the effect. Is this their invuln? What is this?
No, this is just a nice, every 25 seconds reduce your incoming damage by 15% business.
Oh, yeah.
This seems like something you would do all the time.
What is the equivalent of this on Dark Knight? 3 weeks, 82. I don't know how fast you level. I ain't judging. Next.
Yep.
All right. Embarrassing raid story. I am currently trying to do the ultimate weapon. I am currently trying to do the Ultima weapon ultimate raid. I find people in Party Finder and we go. Because I got with a party to Titan 3 times, to Titan starts kills immediately, I thought I knew mechanics for Ifrit. Next time I raided with a different party, I tried to help a fellow learning healer to understand Ifrit dashes, since they confused me a lot. And then we got corrected by a red mage that no, we both, despite watching the guide, didn't understand the mechanics and directions. I felt embarrassed for trying to explain it when I knew Jack. Thankfully, there's a happy ending, since people in there were very patient. And after the nice red mage explained things to us healers, we cleaned up for good. I am proud to say I am now on the jail phase of Titan, and learning still. Embarrassment leads to clarification and learning. It's a good teacher. Don't be ashamed. We can all do better that way. You talk like a shonen anime, and for that we thank you.
Nice job.
I feel inspired.
Well done.
Next. My raid sin. This is my first tier and expansion ever doing Savage and even current extremes. I play Summoner, so the now prophetic mistake is that every extreme and every Savage fight we have cleared so far, I have murdered or nearly murdered the whole party with a mistimed or mispressed Ifrit dash at least once. A Miko-shaped fireball of death. Why would this almost go, people?
Yeah. Dash ability. Maybe it's good I can walk everywhere.
I have done this a lot with just any gap closer of like, oh, I gotta soak this tower, and I'm like, it resolved. I'm gonna
over.
dash in. It did not resolve. It was not over, and now we're all dead.
Yeah. I'm happy I have light speed. I can't ruin anything but myself.
Next. For me, it was my first time going through extreme content with friends who have been longtime players. Everyone was really nice, and I thought I was doing well, except we were dying to enrage a lot. No one said anything, and we even cleared it eventually. It was only when I was curious about how I did that I went to the lumber site. Ah, yeah, I'm a big Home Depot fan too. And saw that I was doing horrible damage. Both tanks were out DPSing me, and I was a DPS job. Were you red mage? Because it's honestly not that hard to lose the tanks. At least with all the red mages that I've been with since lumber has been introduced to me.
I believe your buff alignment would be off.
Maybe. Anyway, they continue. That drove me to learn my job and look up guides on how to do proper rotations and everything. Now I can proudly say that I do mediocre damage. At least I can pull my weight now. Just remember what Joe Cat said in his video. The difference between a beginner and a master is that a master has made more mistakes.
It's true.
Believe it. I didn't unlock my job until, like, Heaven's Word. So I went through Post-Realm Reborn as a pugilist.
It happens.
No, it doesn't.
It happens. It happens.
It's just very funny. I can understand how this happens.
Because you forget your job quests, and that means likely if you started this in early, you're going to forget your job upgrade.
I wish this was the plot of Stormblood.
But the fact that...
I wish Lisa was going through Stormblood.
Maybe she did.
Like, just ineffectively fighting people. And then
She
an
kinda
actual
did.
lore turning point is that, like, Alizé comes up to her, puts her hand on her shoulder and goes, Lise, please, for the love of God, unlock Monk.
Have you done your job quest, right? But on your first job, when you're most immersed in the whole back end, yeah.
I mean, I
That's
was very
rough.
confused by, like, unlocking your, what do you even call it? Like, job mastery? It was confusing to me in the very early days. And then when I learned about, you can have all of your job in the game, I was like, wait, what? You're allowed? That's illegal. I play World of Warcraft. That's illegal. You can't do that. But you can. Next. I played Pictomancer throughout the Savage tier, only after clearing, and we cleared late. Did I consciously remember that Star Prism has a group heal attached?
Probably. But, let's see.
Wasn't to blame for why you cleared late?
Yeah, that might not be your job. Let's find out. Oh,
he says.
okay. So there's 1,400 potency on this thing in the first place.
Oh, so it's also doing damage.
So it comes and goes, but yeah, that sounds pretty nice.
It does have pretty nice.
Yeah, that sounds valuable.
We judge it to be a mild sin. I will say though, it seems like you care the correct amount about this error.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No self-flagellation involved. Next. First, I think your raised a few $100s for the children based on messages I saw on the extra life list. Like that moment specifically. Second, I'm a paladin main. A month or two ago, I was leveling my other jobs. I decided to drop back into the Balance Discord, which has job guides and recommendations. Do you work for the Balance? Does this sound like an ad, sir? To check out their openers, and then looked up the Palantir opener on rotation out of curiosity, which I'd done back during Endwalker and memorized. But sure, why not? Turns out that I've been doing my opener wrong for nearly 2 years, because the opener changed during the Endwalker rework in 6.3. So I've actually been missing out on 2 to 5% of my DPS since January of 2023. Then I thought back to all of the trials and day one fights that we failed by a hair and realized there's a good chance that we could have cleared some of those, particularly M4 normal on day one, if I'd been using the correct rotation the whole time on my main job. Full stop. My main job. Full stop.
I'm not going to take this lesson from you, well done.
I'm gonna vote no sin because you're making me feel a lot better, and I appreciate that.
Time change. Yeah, time marches on. Next.
If it makes you feel better, on my raid leader's third on-content Savage tier playing a melee job on the last fight of the tier, revealed she thought side positionals counted if you hit the boss from the front. No joke here. I've heard that this is a common misconception with a lot of melee players. I don't play melee because I think positionals are dumb.
Wait, is there no front positionals?
No.
Oh, I never made this mistake, but yeah, I could see that happening. Sure, it's their face after all.
And because also, like, if you look at the circle, the only line delineation is a break in the line of the circle for back. So I can kind of understand that if you're learning by looking at the actual UI, the rest of the line connecting to the front would make you think this is all sides.
There's a little like
it's all sides as far as the eye can see.
there's a little pizza slice in
except
it.
for the butt.
Yeah,
Very mild sin because positionals shouldn't count.
dramatic next.
Not mine, but everybody just throwing their friends under the
Not
bus.
mine.
But my raid leader learned way into P12S that flank positionals don't count if doing it from the front. Which is something a lot of people have the misconception of.
Oh,
OnlyFans.
yeah. Didn't know. I assumed correctly. I totally get it. Next.
Play ranged. When I stepped in Savage for the first time in E1S, the healer slots were taken, so I played Red Mage. When several people died, someone called out, "Raise me!" I responded, "I can't, I don't have Swiftcast up." After that, we wiped, and my now 4 static members kindly explained that Ver-Raise can be double cast, like any other spell. That's when I learned the true meaning of Res Mage. Ha ha! I get a sense of pain from that ha ha.
I've assumed worse things.
Honestly, I want to ask you a follow-up question. Like, what hurt worse? This realization or realizing that they only want you for your res?
The problem with this mistake is you've now taken on a huge amount of responsibility that you may not have thought you were responsible for. That's a big oops.
That's a big oops.
That's a big oops.
I would say that's damn near, that's probably the closest on the level of me not knowing to include technical step in my rotation.
Responsibility's a bitch.
I think it's on, yeah. I thought you feel cool and useful now, if not pigeonholed into a single thing that people like about that job. But hey, it sounds like you got backups anyway. You can heal. It's all good. Oh my God, I can't find the details of it anywhere.
What was the name of the original ability?
Presence of mind.